Now, the US-backed Gaza Board of Peace says humanitarian aid into the Strip has increased more than 70% since the ceasefire began. In a report submitted to the United Nations Security Council, the board said the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has held despite violations and challenges. According to the board, the main obstacle to implementing the comprehensive peace plan is what it referred to as Hamas's refusal to disarm. Well, despite the ceasefire, Gaza continues to face an unprecedented humanitarian and reconstruction crisis. Millions remain displaced, essential services are collapsing. And as we mentioned, the Gaza Board of Peace reported humanitarian aid to Gaza has increased by more than 70% since the ceasefire began, but the humanitarian needs remain immense. Approximately 85% of Gaza's buildings and roads have been destroyed or damaged. Gaza's reconstruction is expected to require more than $30 billion, according to estimates. The international community has so far pledged nearly $17 billion to support Gaza's reconstruction and recovery efforts. Let's speak to our correspondent, Hani Mahmoud, who's in Gaza City. Hani, so claims of this significant increase in aid, those claims coming from the Board of Peace established by the Trump administration, do those claims, from your viewpoint, do those claims actually meet reality?
Well, even in an ideal world, if you have, in terms of ceasefire implemented one by one and perfectly fine, we would have seen such results. But so far, situations on the ground speak different reality. 70% is a very high percentage. It shows that there is a significant and visible change on the ground. It shows that people are no longer hungry. They have access to food supplies everywhere. But this is not the reality. The reality that still people are queuing for hours in front of community kitchens. Just the other day, we were outside filming a story, and we drove by 3 of the community kitchens across the Gaza Strip. When we just look at the number of people queuing versus the equipment, the pots that had food on the ground, that was nowhere near enough half of the people who were queuing. So people are still having limited access to basic supplies, basic food, a meal, a hot meal throughout the day. That applies to other basic necessities. Hospitals are still undersupplied. Just last week in our visit to the hospital, a field visit, we checked with the medical lab. Testing lab equipment are missing from the hospital. Given the past 2 years, none of these necessary and critical supplies were allowed into the Gaza Strip, and that applies to all the hospitals across the Gaza Strip. In fact, there is one hospital that has gone completely out of service in terms of blood testing, given that it lacks completely all the necessary materials and necessary equipment for blood testing. When it comes to water, drinking water, still water tanks have to respond to emergencies and appeals to go to areas that are somehow remote areas and to get and provide people with water. This is the reality on the ground, but it looks like the report is, or the briefing done by the Board of Peace on the situations here, is largely ignoring the reasons that are leading to these situations. And for that matter, it's very important to point out the ongoing attacks by the Israeli military. The fact that the Israeli military is now controlling close to 64% of the total area of the Gaza Strip. That includes roads and infrastructure, and many of the warehouses belong and operated by the United Nations, which technically, right away, automatically decreases the amount of any aid provided to people here.
Al Jazeera's Hani Mahmoud in Gaza City. Thank you, Hani.